Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Tinamine Shri Varshabhana Videvi Dayataya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vikyana Dayane Pravave Namaha Madhuryo Jvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Sri Murtaye Dinatarne Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gaurakishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambode Parambu Jayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sakchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virvava Bomestvam Nirdesa Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhoma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Manda Matergati Matsarva Swapatamboja Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vrindaranya Kalpadramadha Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanasto Srimad Radha Shila Govinda Deva Preshtali Bhi Sevyamano Smarami Sriman Rasarasarambi Vamshivatatatastitaha Karshan Venu Swanir Gopir Gopinatha Shriyestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsi Devyai Priyayai Keshavasya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Nishinga Jai Nishinga Jai Jai Nishinga Prahlada Desha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata Abhyutanam Adharmasya Tadatmanam Srijamyaham Paritranaya Sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam, dharma samstapanartaya, sambhavami yuge yuge. Manmana bhava madbhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru, mami vaishyasi yukvaivam, atmanam atparayanaha, sarvadharman parityaja, mamekam sharanam braja, ahang tvang sarva papebhyo, mokshayishami masujaha. Shrinvatam swakata Krishna, punya shravana kirtana, hridyantaksto hibhadrani, vidhunoti suhritsatam, nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu, nityam bhagavata sevaya, bhagavata yuttamo shloke, bhaktir bhavati naishtaki, tada rajastamo bhava, kamalobhadayaschaye, chaitaiter anavidam, stitam sattve prasidati, evam prasanna manaso, bhagavad bhakti yogataha, bhagavad tattva vijnanam, mukta sangasya jayate. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gopremanande Haribo. These are some lessons from my neighborhood. First is bhakti lessons from our neighborhood. Of course, we don't have these kinds of fields in my neighborhood, but we do have other gardens. If one were in Mayapur, one would see this. Cultivation of the heart is the opportunity one has in the human form of life to cultivate the heart. Prabhupada said, knowledge and practice. These two things together mean that we can make progress from any position that we're in now. And this is the great, exciting prospect of the human form of life, is that we don't have to be the same tomorrow as we are today. We can decide on a new course, and through cultivation, we can develop. And the heart must be receptive. This word, adjective, able or willing to accept something. Great devotee Mahatma Das, inimitable Mahatma Prabhu, great devotee and philosopher, likes to say there's two words that, or there's a phrase, 3 words that block all learning. Do you know what it is? Good, because that way I can keep talking. I know that. When somebody's talking to me, I'm not actually listening. I'm thinking, when are they going to stop talking so I can tell them what I know? I'm not receptive. Whereas when Rupa Goswami went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was completely receptive. He said, I don't know anything. I don't even know who I am. Everyone else says that I'm a great scholar. And I'm so foolish that I accept that. But now I'm abandoning that. And I'm simply coming with full humility. Padapankaja, just like a speck of dust, insignificant. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells about the path of knowledge, and he says, Amanidvam adambitvam ahimsa shantir arjavam. He starts off with humility and pridelessness as the two foremost processes for being receptive, for opening the heart. So it's the science of receptivity. Humility, a service attitude, which means that if you have a service attitude, then you're welcome everywhere. And if you have an attitude, what's in it for me, then you're competing with everybody else in the universe. That's the nature of the material world. Everyone wants to be the center, and everyone else wants to get something for themselves. But simply by this switch of philosophy that I'm a servant, and we heard this in the song, Jiv Krishna Das E Bishwas Koletor Adhukonai. Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes it very simple. He said, simply accept this one thing, I'm a servant of Krishna. And then all your unhappiness will go away with one fell swoop. I'm Krishna's servant. Everyone say. But everyone say. And now you feel better, right? And everywhere in the universe, there's opportunities for service. Narayana katash, sorry. Narayana paraksarvena kutaschana bhibyati swarga pavarga naraketu apitulyana darshana. For the devotee, it doesn't matter up or down in this material world. Whatever facility he or she has is okay, because there's service opportunity in every part of the universe. Is that true? Everywhere you go. And you'll be very welcome in this mood of service. Submission. Srila Prabhupada writes in one of his purports that simply by a submissive attitude, one can attract Krishna's attention. And sincerity. Sincerity means that I don't have an ulterior motive. I simply am trying to execute the process, and even if I'm not capable of doing it. Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita, in a purport to 331, the verse, Ye me matam idam nityam anutishtanti manava, where Krishna says, just follow my instructions, and everything will work out all right. And then Prabhupada writes in the purport that there may be the possibility that one has this purpose to follow Krishna's instruction, but he or she may not be able to do it yet completely. But still, if you keep that sincerity of purpose and you don't have an ulterior motive and you try, then you'll become successful. In one place, Prabhupada has spoken that if you cannot execute the order, but you continually say, how can I do, how can I do, how can I do? Everyone please say. And you pray like that, then you'll be successful, because Krishna's within the heart and he recognizes sincerity. In New Delhi, if you go to Chandi Chowk, which you have to do at least once in your life, there's a seller of oils named Gulab Singh. And Mr. Gulab Singh has a little hole-in-the-wall shop that's become famous all over the world. Big buyers come to Gulab and they buy small bottles of very expensive oil. He has some in the back. He showed me before $50,000 for a tiny little bottle of essential oil. But if you go to Gulab Singh and you offer him $1 million, he will not be able to give you even one drop of sincerity. It's the most valuable substance in the universe. And while chanting, while serving, while praying, if I'm in search of that one drop of sincerity that I have in my heart, that is the most valuable substance in all the universe. It outweighs all the other pretense and any other achievement that I make is to get this sincerity of purpose. So in cultivating in this mood of sincerity, we need Shravanadi Jal. Everyone say Shravanadi Jal. But say it a little louder. This is the Shravana means hearing, and Adi means all the other practices. Shravanadi, and Jal means agwa purificada, or mizu in Japanese. What else is there? Pani, or H2O. Anyone else? Huh? Pani. Tani. It's water. Anywhere in the universe, and we can tell you in California, it's very valuable because we're in a drought right now. And when it even rains a little bit, we run out of the house and begin to dance in ecstasy because a few drops are coming down. Water is life on this planet. And it's life in the practice of the devotee. For the soul, it's life. The Shravanadi Jal, it's the connection to the spiritual world. It's the spiritual water. So hearing in the association of like-minded devotees who are more advanced than oneself is a recommendation given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that can be done anywhere. There's no need to hesitate. If one is always prepared to hear and chant, always be ready. In fact, on one morning walk, Prabhupada was asked, the devotees were anxious about impending World War III, which certainly meant doom for the whole planet. And they asked Prabhupada, how should we prepare? And Prabhupada said, prepare to chant Hare Krishna. So in the process of Shravanadi Jal, one should always be prepared to chant Hare Krishna. Always be prepared to hear. One thing is, always have some Shastra with you. Everyone should have some way to pull out their Shastra. If you have 5 minutes, it's amazing how much you can achieve within that time, just by hearing a little bit. In your bag, if you're waiting in line at the U.S. Postal Service, you could be there for a long time. And if instead of, like everyone else, shifting from one foot to the next and wondering, why is the government so inefficient? And why is this taking so long? You can take out your Bhagavad Gita, or you can photocopy a section that's light to carry in your bag, and you begin to read while you're waiting in line. And you'll think instead, please take your time. I have a few more shlokas to go, and you'll become absorbed in a timeless state because you're hearing and chanting. There's a way in which there are little chunks of time throughout the day that we can fill in with this Shravanadi Jal and hear and chant, even in a very busy life. When you get in the car, if you're driving somewhere with someone, you anticipate a 15-minute drive, bring your Bhagavatam. You can read a lot, 15 minutes. Right, Kuver? We drove last night to the Hindu fest. What was it called? The Janmashtami. Wonderful event. And on the way there and the way back, we heard about 40 minutes of Bhagavatam. And it made all the difference in the day. I could have sat there and looked out the window or made any other kind of conversation, which might have been nice also, but it doesn't meet the standard of hearing the Bhagavatam. So in every opportunity, prepare to hear. Rupa Goswami's essence of all advice, Tanama Rupa Charitaru Sikirtananu Smrityo Kramena Rasanamanasi Niyoja Tishtan Vraje Tanana Ragi Jananugami Kalam Nayed Akilamityupadesha Saram. Organize your life around this principle so that you can hear and chant all the time. And in the Bhagavatam also, Prabhupada writes about how the holes of your ears, although very small, open up into a very large space, as big as the sky inside, once it goes through these two openings. And you don't have to worry about it filling up. It will never fill up. You can go on hearing unlimitedly and never stop. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, Lord Kapila says that when you hear the sound vibration of the Bhagavatam and Krishna Katha goes from the ear into the heart, and then it makes a change of heart. Around my house in California, there are these emblems that say, no dumping drains to bay. These are storm drains throughout our neighborhood. Because even though we're several miles from the San Francisco Bay, everything that goes in there ends up in the repository of the San Francisco Bay. And after some time, even little trickles of impurities end up causing mass pollution in the bay. So when I was walking by this one day, I thought, those openings are just like the openings of my ear. And then I thought, I should have a little emblem here that says, no dumping drains to bay. The bay of the heart. And I started to notice that whatever I allow in here ends up in here and has its effect later on. And the practice of Krishna consciousness means to be careful about what you allow to go in your ear and be determined to constantly hear about Krishna. The mantra effect from the Ramayana. We're familiar with the story of Mantra, who dissuaded Kaikeyi from a perfectly noble act, or actually she persuaded her into a completely ignoble act by changing her mind, revealing her envious heart about Lord Ramachandra, and stopping the coronation of Lord Ram. And in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna says that when one speaks harsh words or envious words, it's like a spear that goes into the heart of others, and it can actually injure and damage them. In the material world, everyone carries envy within their hearts. And when it comes out through the speech, it injures others. So the Shastra also says, be careful about who you hear from. And be careful also who you speak, how you speak to others. So this is a drip system I have in our backyard garden. It's a series of tubes that goes to all the little plants throughout the whole garden. And then it's hooked up to another system called the Rain Dial Plus. And once we turn it on, every plant in the garden then gets the right amount of water every day. And in a similar way, for those practicing bhakti yoga, being on a drip system, that is getting practiced automatically, as Prabhupada said, is one of the ways to use up your time in this life, which goes by in chunks of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and then soon we come to the end. But if during that process we have a drip system, so that there's a constant watering through the process of hearing, then it makes all the difference in the world. So I mentioned that I have this chart which is called Be a Sage, page by page. And on it, there's a list of all of Prabhupada's books. And then it tells what period of time it takes, how many pages you have to read of each book to finish in a particular period of time. Did you know that you can finish the Sri Upanishad in 1 month if you read just 5 pages a day? That's a real question. Anybody know that? Did you know that you could read the whole Bhagavad Gita a day in 1 month if you just read 29 pages a day? Or, simpler, if you read 1.2 pages of Bhagavad Gita a day, you'll finish in 2 years. Or the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5 years, if you read 8 pages a day, you'll finish in 5 years. And you could be 5 years older in 5 years anyway. But if you invest every day in at least 8 pages, then you'll finish, all the way from first canto through the 12th canto. What do you think? Huh? Okay, we have one volunteer. Here you go. Here's your chart. Give her a hand. Can we have the other microphones? At this point, I'm going to take a little reflection. It means one thing that you've heard so far that's stuck in your mind. No questions, just reflections. Yes?
I liked I forgot what it was called, the draining system, the bay.
Drip system. Oh, no dumping, drains to bay.
Yeah, no dumping, drains to bay. That was very eye-opening because it's also, I was just thinking that image of the bay, it's right there in the public, and somebody could very easily just disregard the sign and throw something in, and then it can cause a lot of havoc.
And you think it's no big deal. It's just a little can of oil or insignificant thing, whatever it is.
Yeah, and it adds up. Yeah, so
have you ever seen the bumper sticker that says, "We all live downstream"? Isn't that nice? It's the ecological movement. We all live downstream. Like everything you do has a consequence and it comes back to you. And hearing is especially like that. In the Sri Upanishad it says, Anyareva hura sambhavad, anyarahura sambhavat, iti shushrumadhiranam yenas tadvichachakshare. One result is obtained by worshiping the supreme cause of all causes, and another result is obtained by worshiping that which is not supreme. This was described by the undisturbed sages. So, point is, there's two kinds of sound vibration in this world. One is material, and the other is. And so that means we have a choice. And that's the main choice that we have, whether to subject ourselves to material sound vibration or to ingest spiritual sound vibration. And if you don't like how your life is going, you can change it by changing the subject. When you change the subject in your life, then you change your fortune. And that's the free choice that we have. And this is the essence of Bhakti Yoga, this Shravanadi Jal. What kind of water are you taking in? A few more reflections. Thank you very much, Mukunda Ras.
I don't think everybody gets your emails, but you increased your Rain Dial Plus by 25% a month or two ago.
5%.
5%, not 25, 5%. And it increased all of your plants, and they all
thanks
got...
for bringing that up. I had written in a blog that I put out, which is called Shravanadi Jal, that our garden was drying up. Nirakula, my wife, told me that, the garden's drying up. So I went and I adjusted by 5%. I upped the water quotient to the garden, and 2 weeks later, everything was looking nice. So I was thinking that we don't have to make a drastic change in our life, but if you make incremental changes in your hearing and chanting, a little bit. I notice if I just do something every day, consistency is powerful over time. It acts as a wedge in the rest of my life. You ever have that feeling where you have inertia, it's really hard to get going in your devotional service, you feel like you're in a lull and everything's slowed down? Nobody has that, right? I do. And there's a way in which you may be sitting in your house sometime and the house is a mess and you don't feel like cleaning it up. Have you ever had that feeling, or is it just me? Thank you. What is your name? What's her name? Farah? I can't hear from over here. The sound gets lost. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate your honesty. Oftentimes I find that if I just commit to picking up one piece of paper and not cleaning the whole house, just one thing, and if I can make it from my chair over to the place where the piece of paper is on the floor with all my strength, and I can pick up that one piece of paper and then think, maybe I'll do one more. And then I can get some momentum. And in a similar way in spiritual life, keeping consistency over time. Consistency over time is very powerful. Prabhupada used to say that drops a day wear the stone away. Don't try to get it all at once. Also, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, don't try to be a great devotee, just try to be a good devotee. If you take some of the pressure off and make it consistent and good, not great, then over time, there are multiple blessings. A couple more reflections? Yes, Nanda Sutta.
Yeah, the mantra association and such a heavy association of mantra with Kakei revolutionized and destroyed the whole concept of kingdom. And what does that tell, that how the envy and the association of these people can affect
amazing.
your whole consciousness.
I like how you put that. It just destroys the whole kingdom. A few minutes of hearing from an envious person, it ruined everything. It changed the course of history. And I noticed myself, if I listen to somebody criticizing a devotee unnecessarily, it inhibits my ability to appreciate that devotee later on. Even though I appreciated him so much before, then there's some blockage now, and it's really hard for me to do that. So be careful of the mantra effect. Yes, not mantra, but mantra.
What you just said, I'd like to add one more thing. When we were building temple in Seattle, I was always trying to find some millionaire or $500,000 donation or $250,000. But then one day spark went away. I mean, something happened. And I said, how about I find 500 people who give $1,000 or $2,000? So more people doing little things together. And we were able to build it right away. We were able to raise $1.5 million in no time. The moment we shift the gear from trying to get some one person showing us a miracle, instead everybody did a little miracle, and it happened.
That's a principle, thank you very much. That's worth keeping in mind for any kind of project. Some time ago when we were thinking about how to increase book distribution in our area, in ISV, I live in Northern California, near Silicon Valley. Actually, we live in Silicon Valley. And there we were thinking and brainstorming how we could increase book distribution. And we had the thought that if a lot of devotees each did a little bit, which is reasonable, it's reasonable that everyone could do a little bit, right? Instead of a few doing a lot, then maybe we could increase. And so we took up that philosophy of a lot of devotees each doing a little bit. And that sustained us over time, and that works in many different kinds of projects. A couple more? Yes. Can we get the microphone all the way back? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I really like the point, Prabhu, you made about being receptive. And it's just reflecting on how in Bhagavad Gita, if Arjuna kept interrupting Krishna at every point, Krishna would make a point saying, I know, then we would not actually have had the Gita. And really the source of Gita is Arjuna being so receptive to what Krishna was saying. And I think that's a really nice thing for us to apply in our Krishna consciousness, because sometimes we don't listen as much. And I think I really like what you said, that it is very important to listen and be receptive and not try to think of when I'm going to interrupt the other person and just kind of run my spiel. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. Nice point. It's something I notice that I can practice all the time, because when someone's speaking to me, I feel the urge to interrupt them and tell them what I'm doing and what I've done better than what they've done even. I already thought of that idea. Instead of listening to how they're presenting it and just dropping the urge to interrupt or let the mind interrupt and not listen. It's very powerful, especially when we're around devotees. Two more? Guru Bhakti.
I liked how you said to find little chunks of time in your schedule to read Shastra.
I learned it from a friend of mine, Satyadev, worked for the fire department for 20 years. And sometimes he had to stay up 2 days in a row. And oftentimes he was on call, and he couldn't get normal schedule for hearing. And he would take the times when he could, and I noticed that in 5 minutes he would get more out of reading the Bhagavad Gita than I would for much longer periods of time. And I really appreciated the intensity. He didn't take it for granted. Actually, it's one of the symptoms of advancement in devotional service mentioned by Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami, avyarta kalatvam, which means that one doesn't want to waste even a moment. Have you ever taken a test, like a really intense exam? I'm asking a bunch of high-level professionals here who have gone through the educational system at high levels. Did you ever take a test? I've noticed myself in taking tests that the times at which I felt completely relaxed and I walked in thinking, I got this, I don't need to push very hard, I didn't do as well as I had hoped. But the times when I was standing at the door, still with my nose in the book, until they said, put down everything and pick up a number 2 pencil. You ever hear that before? At that time, I wouldn't even let a half-second gap. I didn't take anything for granted. That's when I actually did well. And that kind of hearing and chanting can be really effective, of taking it that seriously, always keeping the vibration going. One more. Yes.
Yes, I appreciate. Thank you very much for such a nice presentation. I really appreciated how you emphasized the importance of hearing in like-minded association, and the link between the verse Satam Prasangam Mamavirya Samvido and the 8th verse of Nectar of Instruction. So if you could just elaborate a bit on that.
Yeah, elaboration. It's just that it says in that verse, Satam Prasangam Mamavirya Samvido, at the end it's mentioned that there's a progression. That if you do that, if you continue hearing, then stage by stage you'll make advancement in devotional service. Satam prasangam mamavirya sambido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana kata tajjoshanadashua pavarga vartmi shradaratir bhaktir anukramishati, step by step. And in the other verse, it's also mentioned, Tanama rupa charitari sukirtananu smrityo kramena. Kramena means step by step. Same words are there. So they relate. If we do our part of taking in the transcendental sound vibration as consistently as possible, then there's a natural change of heart and one advances in devotional service. Let's see what else is on this. Here's a list of a few ways that I've tried to keep myself going in hearing and chanting. One is called CHAD. Any CHAD members in here? Raise your hands if you're a CHAD member. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. CHAD stands for chapter a day. It means make a vow to chant 1 chapter of Bhagavad Gita a day. And you do it at least all the Sanskrit, or at least all the English, or the Sanskrit and the English. Doesn't mean don't read the purports, but at least do that. I find that when you do that every day, first of all, you learn the Bhagavad Gita. And the other thing is you'll develop a personal relationship with Krishna, because he's speaking the Bhagavad Gita to you, to us. And third, Prabhupada said you'll become a pundit. Fourth, the Archana Padadi says it alleviates any offenses you make in seva. So chant 1 chapter of Bhagavad Gita a day. How long does it take? About 5 minutes for chapter 12 and chapter 15. About 8 minutes, 10 minutes for the Sanskrit and the English. And if you do chapter 3, it takes about 15 minutes. What do you think? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a fantastic idea and 1 being you think it's really stupid, what do you think of it? 10? I got a couple 10s in the back. Just a few 10s, that's it, eh? Would you like to try it? Okay, why don't you, somebody volunteer if you're feeling inspired to be a CHAD member, at least for a month, and see how it goes. What do you think? Raise your hand if you want to try it for a month. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you very much. Let's give all those new CHAD members a hand. The other is be a sage page by page. I brought a few of these to give to you. And we can pass these out if you'd like. If you'd like one of these little charts, it'll change your life. When you look at this chart and you look at the number and you pick a number and you say, I'm going to do 8 pages of Bhagavatam a day, no matter what else happens. And you do it, you'll find that your life will change. I've heard this from many devotees when they picked a number and they do it. Everything changes. And we heard it this morning. The devotees were telling us that if you just read Rambaru, Prabhu was saying that if you just read every day, then all your problems go away. And it's also easier to figure out what to do in life and how to solve problems. You can run faster and jump higher. Everything changes. The next one is the Ekadashi Vrat. In the song Bhaktivinoda Thakur, speaking about the beauty of devotional service, says, take Ekadashi very seriously. It means take it seriously. more seriously than you may be now. You can increase whatever you're doing now. And there's several mentions about fasting on Ekadashi. There's different kinds of fasts. But I just know for myself that there's endless speculation that goes on the internet about what's a grain and what's not a grain. It's a real waste of time, and I'll tell you how to solve the problem. Don't eat on Ekadashi. It'll change your life. Just don't eat on Ekadashi. And you'll notice one thing, is that you have a lot more time. Because it takes a lot of time to shop, to cook, to eat, to clean up, and to eliminate. It takes all day practically. And if you fast on Ekadashi, you'll think, wow, I just got a lot of extra time. And you can use that time for hearing and chanting. And it's a day when we fast, we're doing it devotionally. It's not for any other reason, and it's very powerful. Kartik Vrat. So there's times of the day, there's times of the month, there's times of the year, and Kartik is a time of the year when to increase your hearing and chanting. Take a vow for Kartik. Do something you've never done before and keep it up for 30 days. A 30-day vow is so powerful that it will change your life. That's how to move up in devotional service. Find out something you're going to do for for Kartik Vrat. One of the best things you can do is offer a lamp every day. The Kartik Mahatmya says, if you offer a lamp every day to the Lord, He'll be happy with you. And there are other things that you can do to increase your hearing and chanting. There are holy days, so many holy days. During the year, we have more holy days, I think, than anybody else. Holy actually comes from the word whole. W-H-O-L-E, whole. It's changed into, now they call them holidays. Actually, they used to be called holy days. Why is that? Because when you take time to think about Krishna and his devotees, you feel whole. So do more on holy days. And Brahma Muhurta. There's free nectar floating through the air in Brahma Muhurta. Don't sleep through it. Wake up and catch the nectar. Even if you do ordinary japa during Brahma Muhurta, it's better than the best japa you ever did at 2 p.m. when you're driving down the road. So those are a few things. Get practiced automatically. Here for a long time, Lord Kapila Dev said, how long does it take? A long time. How long does it take? Long time. So everyone keeps saying, I've been chanting for 3 years, 5 years, 17 years. It takes a lot longer. Kalakanta Prabhu was giving class in Mayapur a couple years ago. He told about how Charu had asked Prabhupada in Australia, how long does it take to actually get a taste for the holy name? Prabhupada thought for a minute. He said 40 years. 40 years. So get in and make sure you do it for 40 years without stopping. Law of large numbers. Mathematicians? Yeah. Anybody know this law? The results obtained from a large number of trials should be close to the expected value and tend to become closer as more trials are performed. In your mind, can you all apply this to devotional service? Yes or yes? Yes or yes? So the more you do your practice as devotional service, the more you'll come closer to the result that you were hoping for. Look for teachable moments. We don't get many of them. Most of the time, I'm trying to avoid pain. I'm thinking of myself. I'm trying to make myself look good in the world. And when I get knocked down somehow or other, or I'm put in an uncomfortable situation, I may be fortunate enough to come to the point of having a teachable moment when I feel so bereft that I give up any false pretense and I just say, oh, Krishna, please help me, or now I'm going to be serious in devotional service. So look for those teachable moments. And when there's dry spells in the bhakti garden, try to get around those times when you can fill up with rain. Keep going. Weed one small patch at a time. There's one thing I learned in the garden. When there's a lot of weeds, if you start with a few, it's similar to the principle I mentioned earlier about cleaning a room. All right, that's enough. I have these for everybody. And would you like one? Okay. I'll just pass them out right afterwards, because we have one more bhajan to do, and we have 7 more minutes to do it in. And I also have another gift for you all, and that is one of these. What is that anyway? It's a reminder that in North America, we came together several years ago as a group. There are temple presidents, GBCs, who met in Chicago or Dallas and decided that it would be a good idea to come together as one team in North America to increase book distribution. And we decided that North America's one team would do 20% more than we were doing before, which was not very much. The book distribution had been on a gradual slide down over many, many years. So we decided to do 20% more, and everyone worked together, and we broke the 20% mark. We did 28.5% the first year more to the BBT. Say Hare Krishna, Haribol. And then the next year we decided to do another 20%. And then we broke that also, 22.5%. Everyone, Haribol. And the next year we decided 10%. And we broke that also, and we did 15%. Haribol. And this year we made a goal to do another 10% this year and next year. And just a little secret behind it, and that is that if we do 10% more this year and next year overall, then we will have effectively doubled what we've been giving to the BBT, and we will also break an all-time record. And we will have given $2 million to the BBT in 1 month. In 1 year. Hare Krishna. And the way that it'll work is that everyone has to get involved. It's not that there's some people doing book distribution, other people's not. But if everyone does a little bit and think how you can increase 10% in your own life. Yesterday, we distributed a few books just on the way to the Janmashtami. And the reason it happened was because I put some books in my bag. That's one thing that helps. And as we were walking to the Janmashtami festival. What was it called anyway? Hindus of Greater Houston. I was just about to cross the street, and a man driving his bicycle said, hey, hold on. What are you guys doing? And then he took a book. And then later he came back to the Janmashtami. And then I got down in there, and I decided to go back on the street just for a little while, and I met one young man. His name was Bobby. And I showed him a Bhagavad Gita, and he was open to it. I asked him for a donation, and he said he said he didn't have any cash. I said, that's great, we don't take cash. We take MasterCard, Visa, American Express, Carte Blanche, and Diners Club. And he said, and so I knew I didn't have my slider on me, so I took out my pad to write it down, and I could tell he was nervous about it. He said, don't you have the slider? As if there's a real difference, but I said, yeah, it's downstairs. You want to come down? And he goes, okay. So he walked all the way down into the Janmashtami program, took out his credit card. We had our CPA come over and slide it, but it didn't work. So he said, I'll come back. And how many times have we heard that? Because Maya's strong and everything. So anyway, we let him go, praying that he would come back, and went on with our business downstairs. And about a half hour later, he came back. And he was triumphal. He came back and he said, I said I would come back, and I came back. And he brought $10. My only point is that you can do books walking around. On the way here, going through the airport, we distributed books everywhere you go. If you just meet nice people and you say, I got something for you, give them some prasadam, give them a little book. And it changes the way you go about your life, the way you move around. There's a big difference between going to the store with a book in your hand and going to the store just to shop. If you do both at the same time, it'll be a very big difference. So, coming to the point, I have these for you. These, you'll notice people everywhere wearing them. It's a little band that says, get the 10%, because that's our goal this year. And it also said ambassadors of goodwill, because that's what we are. We're ambassadors of goodwill from the spiritual world, representing Srila Prabhupada to go out and distribute books. So afterwards, you can get banded up also and impress your friends. Okay? All right, so we have one last bhajan. And this bhajan is from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's the 100 names of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nariya nagare nitai neche neche gaire. Now, go through the first three and then we're going to back up because I'm going to just tell you how it goes. I'm going to sing it once and then you'll know how the rest of the song goes. Are you ready? Jagannath Sutta Mahaprabhu Vishwambar Mayapura Shashi Navadipa Sudakar Shachi Sutta Gaura Hari Nimai Sundar Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natabar Namananda Chapala Balaka Matribhakta Brahmananda Varanatarki Katukanurakta Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire. So we're going to do that refrain 2 times every time we come to it. And it means that Lord Nityananda is dancing down the streets of Nadia and he's singing these names of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But I warn you, this will get stuck in your head and you won't be able to get it out. So if you don't want that to happen, I recommend that you leave right now. Okay, we're going to go a little lower. Nariya nagare nitai neche neche gaire. Jagannath Sutta Mahaprabhu. All together. Jagannath Sutta Mahaprabhu Vishwamba Mayapura Shashi Navadipa Sudakar Shachi Sutta Gaura Hari Nimai Sundar Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natabar Namananda Chapala Balaka Matribhakta Brahmananda Varnatarki Kautukanurak Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Vidyarthi Udupa Chau Dwarer Mohan Tartika Sarvasya Gramya Balika Kridan Lakshmi Prati Bora Datta Udatta Balaka Shisha Chira Pati Putra Shoka Nibara Lakshmi Pati Purva Desha Sarva Kresha Hara Digvijay Tarpahari Vishnu Priyashvar Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Arya Dharmpala Pitra Gaya Pindadata Puri Shishya Madhvacharya Sampradaya Pata Krishna Namon Mata Krishna Tattva Abhyapaka Nam Sankirtan Juga Dharma Pravartak Advaita Bandhava Srinivas Grihadana Nityananda Prana Gadadhara Rajivan Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Antardeep Shashadar Simanta Vijay Godruma Bihari Madhya Dipali Vashroy Kola Dwipa Pati Ritu Dwipa Maheshwar Janu Moda Druma Rudra Tipera Ishwar Navakanda Ranganatha Jana Vivana Jagai Madhai Ari Durvita Charan Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Nagara Kirtana Singha Kaji Udarana Shuddha Nama Pracharaka Bhaktarti Harana Deepa Sindhu Jivara Niyanta Adama Paduya Dandi Bhakta Dosha Hanta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Chandra Bharati Tarana Parivraj Shri Ramoni Ukala Pavan. Hey! Dai Neche Neche Gaire Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Ambulinga Bhuvanesha Kopatesha Pati Kirchor Gopal Dashana Sukiyati Nirdandi Sanyasi Sarva Boma Kripa Moy Swananda Aswanandi Sarva Sukashroy Purata Sundara Vasudeva Tranakarta Ramananda Saka Bhatta Kula Krisha Hart Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Bodha Jain Mayavadi Kutarka Kandana Dakshina Pavana Bhakti Granta Udarana Alala Dashanandi Rataga Nartaka Gajapati Trana Devananda Udaraka Kuliya Prakashe Tushta Paduryaratran Rupa Sanatana Bandhu Sarva Jiva Pran Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Vrindavana Nanda Murti Balabhadra Sangi Yavana Udari Bhatta Bala Bera Rangi Kashi Basi Sanyasi Udari Prema Data Markata Vairagi Danda Achanda Latrata Bhaktera Gaurava Kari Bhakta Pranadhana Haridas Raghunath Swarupa Jivan Nagari Tai Neche Neche Gaire Nariya Nagari Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Nariya Nagare Nitai Neche Neche Gaire Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaur Haribo 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Premanande Mother Palini, harmonium. Give it up for the kartal players in the front row. For the Hare Krishna singers. Come on. For the Hare Krishna dancers all the way in the back. Go Premanande. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Thank you very much. I'm going to, after this announcement, I'm going to stand out there and I'm going to hand these out. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So let's give His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu a big hand one more time. Haribol!